What's up, everyone? So, we added more, and we're gonna add more if it keeps falling. It's PLTR we're talking about here, of course. PLTR. So, this thing, if you look back, look at the support areas in this thing. That's all I'm gonna say, because if we're gonna sit here and get all stressed out because the thing's keeps on falling, and everybody's freaking out, they're like, yo, what's going on, man? What's up with PLTR? Where's it going, man? How come it keeps going down? How come it keeps going down? And I'm like, well, just think about from this perspective. This move started from, well, let's just say nothing. Started from a penny stock, basically down in the 8s since the IPO. This thing was trading around that range for a long time last year, up until November, when it basically broke through $10, and then it ripped all the way to 34 and change, and then it pulled back. Now, what level did it pull back to? That's what I want to ask you, because this is what you need to understand. Once this created this kind of level of consolidation in these pullbacks, you can see that $20 becomes a real big level of support. But the level of this candle here, the low ever since this move in the pullback, is 21 and change. So 21.20 basically. You'll find support in that range. But when you look after this bounce, so you have this $20 level as support, and then you have this $23, 22, basically $22.88, $23 is this level of consolidation that it went through basically in the entire month of January and December of last year. So this also coincides with the earnings report that came out, and the kind of panic sell-off, that was the earlier earnings report. Then the newer early earnings report was like right here, and this thing was already selling off at that point, so it must have been like right here, and it's continued to fall. But you got to understand that this thing started at $8 and went all the way to 45. That's a huge gain. 8, 16, 24, 32, 48. We're talking 5, 10 times potential, right? So this was 5 times. But what we have in the future is what we're, getting into on this. Because this is like a stock like Tesla, where the earnings are not going to blow you away, and you're not going to be crazily blown out by any of the financials. But what you're going to understand is that this company is the future, and they are the only ones with the advantages and the abilities to work with government agencies and intelligence agencies to protect their data. And that's what we're looking at here, is a company that specializes in data protection, that is formulating these one-stop shop complete data analytic collection and protection software that is being utilized by everyone from the U.S. Army to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, all the way down to the Immigration and Customs and the CIA, FBI, also corporations like 3M just signed an agreement yesterday. New agreement, multi-million dollar, multi-year deal. Rio Tinto, British Petroleum, just to name a few. There's lots more. There's a bunch more they have. Corporations, and their main focus though is government, and that's the biggest growing segment of their business, is their government segment. So that's what we're kind of focused more on. Their commercial side is kind of just a bonus, because that's not really where we're going to see the most growth. They have more competition on the consumer side, on the commercial side, than they do on the government side. So that's why it's important to look at the growth in the government side and take that as being more substantial than the losses in the commercial side when you look at the actual revenues and the actual numbers from the quarterly earnings. So what you need to understand, though, is that this thing bottomed out at 23, and that was the kind of base for this whole move in all of the month of December, and the most level of consolidation and support we've seen in this stock was at 23. You have another level here of 14, 15 if it gets down there, right? But at the same time, either way, this thing has a top of 45 at this point, but when it blows that, it has infinite potential, because it's a company that, like Tesla, you're buying the technology, you're buying the idea rather than the financials or the numbers. And that's what you need to understand. That's why this company has so much potential. That's why it's getting pumped up by so many, from Wall Street Bets to, everybody's mama on YouTube that's got a YouTube channel. So understand that this is why it's a long-term play. This is why we're getting into it. And this is why we don't mind it selling off, because it's buying opportunity, buy the dip, and wait for your opportunity to sell the rip, or hold it for the next 10 years and get rich. But that's just my opinion. It's not financial advice. Don't take it as financial advice. Trade your own setups, trade your own ideas. Never take my ideas and think that you're going to get rich off of them, because I don't get rich. I'm just an average trader just like you, and I make money, but I'm nowhere near the greatest trader. So don't think you should follow me, but you should listen to my ideas and think about what I'm saying, and think about if it works for you, and think about if those ideas are something you'd be comfortable with, because you should always trade your own ideas. If you're a short trader, you should trade to the short side, and you should kind of get ideas from other short traders, but you should never follow their setups. You should look and create your own setups. And maybe if you're following the same stock as them, but you understood the setup when you got into it, you're like, hey, well, I saw the setup, so I'm getting into it. You need to learn the setup rather than follow or listen. And you shouldn't be asking people on YouTube, hey, what do you think it's going to rip? Is it going to rip? Or should I sell? It's tanking. It's like, you should have had an idea when you got into the stock what you were going to do and why you were buying it. So, and if you were buying it and you weren't confident in the stock, then you should be having a stop loss. And if that hits, then you need to sell. But if it hasn't hit and you're confident in the stock, then you should hold, and you should add on these dips. And that's how you invest for the long term. That's how you swing trade, efficiently. Shouldn't panic sell, but if something goes against you hard and news comes out that's not good, there's been no bad news on Palantir. It's been all good news, but the market's been tanking, so that's why Palantir is following. But understand that the news that's come out for Palantir over the past month has been nothing but good, other than the earnings report, which was actually really good. They beat on revenue by $22 million. It was good. It was not a loss. They lost per share in revenue, EPS, but honestly, what you need to be concerned about is, are they growing their revenue stream so that they can be profitable in the next 10 years? And yes, the answer is overwhelmingly yes. So I think it's a buy. That's all I'm going to say. Thanks for watching, guys. Please come back for more, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about the stock. PLTR, are you guys buying the dip? Because I'm buying the dip. So see what happens, and hopefully hopefully we get a bounce. But if the market keeps going down, understand, if the overall market keeps going down, PLTR is going to follow. So that's it. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.